got when influencers mess with the real criminals. Oh shit.
More and more influencers are having their egos go completely wild. The rise of iPad kids, narcissism, and terrible role models is making influencers feel increasingly entitled and out of touch, using anybody in the public they can to gain more views and clout with no regard for others. But what
I really dislike this. I don't know if this is like the current trend or maybe it's fallen off or maybe it just keeps going and it's like stable. I don't know. So like I have seen this type of content, and honestly, when I was a little kid, I used to love this type of content. I would always be watching on YouTube, like, I would just look up fights, like bum fights, school fights, random ass people fighting, like Walmart fights or Black Friday fights. I would just eat that shit up as a little kid. But honestly, and it's not like little kids are going away. Well, they kind of are in America. People have like less and less kids in America, but I mean, for the most part, there's still a massive audience of little kids. And the older I get, it's like me personally, I'm just not attracted to this type of content anymore. But that's not to say that I haven't been in the past, because I am no saint. I mean, what is this? YouTube star 28 beaten to death with sticks in frenzied mob attack at party. Man, I don't know, dude.
What happens when an influencer messes with the wrong person? What happens when the person they're messing with is a criminal or mentally unhinged?
Yeah.
Well, in this video, we'll be going over influencers that were humbled after messing around with the wrong people.
Good.
Beginning with Tanner Cook. April 2nd, 2020.
Bro, I used to hang out with people that it was like when in high school, I used to hang out with people that weren't. I hung out with like the alternative bullies. So like there were like the bullies in school, and maybe like it was weird in my high school. Like everybody was kind of separate in like their groups. You had like the athletic bros, the book bros, the video game computer bros, like the music group people, the anime people, and then there was like the people that played Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh at lunch. And I kind of dabbled in like a bunch of different groups or whatever, but I hung out with people that were like alternative bullies. Like they wouldn't like give people wedgies or start fights or anything. They would actually mess with people that had big egos. And because I was like really shy in high school, I played Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and played like I say the card games, but I also played like the fucking Pokemon video game and whatnot, and we all had like similar interests, like my friend group. And bro, there were just so many times where my buddies would just fuck with like the actual bullies of the school, but they would always just dodge being in a fight because like a counselor or an adult would like walk by, and they would have like the most perfect timing with some shit too. I remember this one time during lunch, or like a lunch period, that like one of the biggest kids in I don't know, in our class, well not class, but like in the high school, he was on a football team. He had his jersey on, and there was like this really long cement bench, like 50 plus feet, and for some reason this big dude chose to just lie down and take like a quick little nap, like right on the side in the shade on this long ass cement bench. And bro, one of my buddies, I'll never forget this. He walked over, but when he walked over, he had a huge stack of books with him, like some whatever books, but they were like, heavy, like a hardback books with like the plastic or like wrapped around him. Had a whole stack of them. So this dude, he walked up next to the bully well, not he wasn't a bully. He was just like a big dude. And he was like kind of cocky. Uh, but whatever. Um, my buddy walked up to him with a stack of books, and he tiptoed up, and the dude didn't hear him at all. And he sat down next to him, and immediately just slammed the stack of books right next to the dude's head and woke him up. And I was like, no fucking way, dude. And at that moment, there was the dude like woke up and he was like super startled, surprised and shit. And he's like, who the fuck? What did you do that for? He's like, oh, sorry, man. I was just putting my books down. Did I wake you? Acted completely coy as fuck. But meanwhile, there was an adult walking by, and you know, I don't think that adult person knew what the hell was happening. He just saw like a big person like getting down on like this little person. He was like one of those kids where they're like over 6 feet and they're jacked as fuck or whatever. And it's like, how are you a high schooler type of person versus like one of my buddies. It was like just like a regular looking skinny dude. And yeah, like the adult walked by and he realized what was going on. He just saw this looming gigantic person. Like he grabbed him. He grabbed my buddy, and like my buddy didn't like swing or anything. He's just like doing this thing. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. He's doing all that noise. And the adult came over, and he broke him up. And I don't know what happened, because he's like, what was happening? He's like, I don't know. I just sat down and put my books down. That's all. And then all of a sudden he just woke up and started like ruffling me around and shit. And bro, me and my buddies were like I don't know, we were like 50 feet away, like poking our heads out, like no fucking shot he's gonna get away with this. Yeah, like the adult came over, broke it up, and oh Jesus, he broke it up and he's like, just get out of here, go to class. Oh my god, that was the funniest fucking shit, dude. Oh man. And nothing happened, literally nothing happened.
23. Tanner and his one-man filming crew were in Dollstown Center Mall and had decided to play some recordings over and over saying, "Hey Dips, stop thinking about my twinkle," through translation out from Spanish to English. The intention was to play it close to the victim and get his reaction.
Hey Dips, quit thinking about my twinkle.
They were in the mall trying to find a place with no security as they had been stopped filming before. However, Tanner forgetting...
Okay, so these are the two influencer bros, the main people on the camera.
His manners once again got too close to the wrong guy. Alan Colley was a DoorDash delivery man and was picking up an order at the mall. When Tanner began shoving his phone 15 centimeters away from his face, Alan looked confused and not really that impressed. He tells Tanner to back off 3 times, saying no and stop, and even threatens to call the police before he finally shoves the phone away.
No.
Hey Dips, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Get out of my business like half time. Stop.
But Tanner still doesn't take the hint and persists in the prank, waiting for a better reaction. Well, it was at this point.
Damn, he is like really close, dude. Like, wait, like he is within arm's reach. Are these like the two influencer bros and this is just like the regular guy? I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know the entire context, but seemingly this is just like the regular guy. And these are just the two assholes. Like, why? Like, is this scripted or not? I mean, I don't know. I tend to lean on the error of it's probably scripted, but I mean, if there are like people out here doing this shit like 100% real, like god dang. But like you are within arm's reach of each other. This is like the personal space bubble, dude. Like back the fuck off me. And I guarantee you, the only reason he's doing this to this guy is because he's taller. I guarantee you he would not be doing this if he was like, if there was this dude was like the same height or taller than him. You know, he thinks he can get away with it because he's simply just taller.
Persists in the prank, waiting for a better reaction. Well, it was at this point that Tanner got the reaction that he was ultimately pushing for when Alan swiftly moved his jacket aside and pulled out a gun. With no hesitation, Alan shot Tanner in his lower abdomen, leaving shoppers in the mall panicked at the sound of the shot. Tanner's filmer then quickly called 911 for assistance while the mall security scrambled to find Alan to arrest him. While Alan was arrested, it is important to note that Alan surrendered and was completely compliant with the security and then the police later on. But it's safe to say that Alan's reaction was completely psychotic and absolutely
that was an escalation. that was a little much of an escalation, but damn. These guys were just not fucking leaving him alone. They were like chasing him. Like, get the fuck out of here. And honestly, like, I mean, I can't really justify like you like whipping out a gun on someone and like shooting them, but like if this guy is like the main aggressor and he is just physically, he's like taller, maybe he's like a little bit more, I don't know. It's like this guy is picking on him because he feels he has a physical superiority to him, and any sort of like physical pushback he feel that he can just get away with. So in order to make the playing field even, bro just whips out a gun without like any warning and pulls the trigger. I don't know. I would like to think that he could have just flashed the gun and told them to like get away, and that would have maybe remedied the issue without being like starting to shoot. I don't know.
Reprehensible and immoral, with Tanner obviously not deserving this. However, he could have done this because being a delivery man, it is possible that Alan was aware of potential dangers, and with this particular prank, perhaps this set off alarm bells of being robbed.
And he's like waving the phone in his face, like get the fuck out of here.
Even still, it's completely immoral. Tanner was then soon taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound through his stomach and liver, but survived the ordeal. In fact, he even posted from his hospital bed and seemed to enjoy the attention of the media.
I was just playing a prank, a simple practical joke.
Fuck you, dumb bitch.
And the guy didn't take it very well and shot me.
After being arrested, Alan Coley would spend 8 months in jail before the court date. The entire 20-second footage was played out in court, and both sides presented good points. Prosecutor Eden Holmes pushed that Alan had no cause to shoot in a mall. The potential
like there was no real, like the whole self-defense thing is like, I don't think he really needed to like shoot, but dang, dude.
Her other shoppers, and that Tanner had not touched Alan and had presented no dangerous indications in
Yeah, but like you're in his fucking like space. You're putting the phone like up to his fucking face, like within inches. Your hand is within inches of his face. You're within arm's reach of his body.
his actions. Eden said they were holding cell phones, not weapons, and that Alan's actions were unreasonable.
Yeah, I was holding cell phones, not weapons, bro. You could 100% make a weapon out of a fucking cell phone. You take the corner of the fucking cell phone and just bash it against someone's temple, bro, that's a weapon. Your hand is a fucking weapon. You can make fists, all right? Get the fuck out of here. But that's still not, I don't think, a justification to, like, shoot.
Alan Coley's attorney presented a stronger case as Alan had asked Tanner to back off 3 times, and since Tanner was taller and had the back of his fellow intruder, Alan actually acted out of self-defense. In the end, after 5 hours of deliberation, the jury...
Yeah, I couldn't even hear I couldn't even hear that. The 3 back up.
actually agreed more to Alan acting out in self-defense as they delivered a not guilty verdict to aggravate...
Oh shit, not guilty. Get the fuck out of here. Jury finds delivery driver not guilty in Virginia shooting of YouTube prankster. Damn, that set a precedence, dude. That's crazy.
malicious wounding, and a guilty verdict to unlawful discharge of a weapon in an occupied building. Alan would walk out with time served. In an interview with Tanner and his mother, Tanner stood behind his mother, mocking Alan.
Regardless of the outcome, you know, the jury's the jury, and we totally respect how our law...
Wow. He didn't even learn his lesson. Like, damn, dude.
...plays out, and this was the outcome today, and we respect that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This was a man who was doing his job as a delivery man, and whose life was completely ruined because of Tanner's obnoxious pranking. When his mother saw this, she merely playfully smacks her son and continues walking off. The lesson clearly escaped Tanner, who later in the same interview said he would continue with his channel and probably still do pranks. But it's...
Wow. That's crazy, man. Bro. I guarantee you they're probably not real. They're probably all scripted now.
Seems they too don't intend to right the wrong in their son.
Opinion about his content on YouTube. Do you agree with that?
Hesitation. There's hesitation. So knee-jerk answer is no, I don't agree with it. But I'm going to support him in any way because it's probably making some sort of money and it makes him happy. And he's not hurting anyone. Yeah, that's what she would probably argue. But yeah.
I support Tanner in whatever he decides to do, and I'm going to continue supporting him.
Wow.
This is terrible psychology.
That's the definition of ride or die right there. Somebody shot your son because of his bonehead like mentality. and you're just okay with it.
robotic iPad kid behavior, and messing with innocent people to get paid for it by YouTube isn't the message you want your kids to learn. Tanner's own words about his channel are that his goal is to bring people who are watching some kind of relief. This is a little contradictory
Oh, shut the fuck up.
at best. He further elaborated that his viewers like when people get frustrated on camera. As for Alan Coley, he intended to move and start fresh elsewhere. However, his face will always be well known to all of Tanner's followers, so it's very possible that Alan might not be able to fully escape the never-ending effects of this prankster. A lot of content creators seem to think they can do anything they want without consequence, that the rules don't apply to them because of their masses of followers. Unfortunately, their decisions can catch up to them, and they soon learn that they can't afford the cost of fame. Fernando Perez Gaba is a tragic
So that statement, the rules don't apply to me because my massive amount of followers, I would have to change that statement to the rules don't apply to me because I have a shitload of money. That is what the statement feels like in real life. Not like, these are all like little whatever, like influencer bros, but the people that this statement applies to are like people with billions and trillions of dollars. Rules don't apply to them the same way they do for like regular 50K a year people.
example of this. From the moment he started, Fernando wasn't afraid to show off his wealth and prove he knew how to make a profit with ease.
Oh, flexing.
As a teen in his hometown,
And again, when I was if I was like a little kid still, I'd 100% be watching this.
Fernando had his first brush with the business world, delivering pizzas and selling sandwiches. 3 years later, his father died, leaving him, his brother, and his mother with
Oh.
an inheritance.
The inheritance. Oh shit.
Fernando used the money to buy his first low-end car, which he repaired and resold to make a profit. Realizing he'd stepped into a lucrative business, Fernando doubled down on his cycle of buying, repairing, and reselling, and he made quite a bit of money doing so. So soon enough, he went from repairing old cars to renting luxury sport cars and trading crypto. At the age of 24,
Always with the crypto. Why is it always with crypto? That's like the get rich quick thing with the crypto. God dang it, people. Stop trying to get rich with crypto. Stab.
the Argentinian had a garage filled with expensive cars and an eye for business that never seemed to let him down. At this point, he turned himself
I mean, if he's making money, like restoring cars, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, really.
into a franchise, amassing over 900,000 followers on Instagram, to whom he saw the dream of becoming as rich as he was by following in his footsteps. It was
Yeah, that's probably a big ass joke. The whole, he left out the part where he got an inheritance is probably what happened. Like, you go back and like retrospect it, it's like when he made the business, when he made the social or whatever, he's like, guys, I'm restoring cars. This is my job. You know, it's like, well, where'd you get the money in the first place? Well, my dad died and gave me an inheritance. Oh, okay.
It was a great dream to have, especially in Argentina, where the economy was failing. He was
Yeah.
doing so well for himself that he moved to Miami, the mecca for the young rich, to open a jet ski company, and then to Spain to establish a crypto trading business. However, as much as he boasted
That's the bonehead move right there. The crypto business. Like the jet ski company, that's fine. But the crypto business, all I could do was laugh.
about his wealth, there was something about his content that had people believing that something wasn't quite right. As much as Fernando boasted about his wealth, he never shared his net worth. You'd think someone with this lifestyle would jump at the chance to boast about something else, but he never had. Why would he want to hide something like that? While his Instagram posts usually consisted of luxury car, selfie, or trading advice, Fernando's life wasn't nearly as luxurious behind the scenes. According to his brother, Fernando was suffering from an anxiety disorder, which he was receiving psychiatric treatment for. Fernando claimed he was making millions through crypto. The truth was, he had developed a gambling addiction during
Always with the gambling, bro. Like, goddamn. That which you gain by luck, you will always be afraid to lose by luck. That's like, I forgot where I heard that comment, but goddamn. It's like so true.
the pandemic, lost a bunch of money investing in crypto, and found himself in an insane amount of debt.
I mean, this is the same reason, like, I have no remorse or empathy for people that, like, fuck their lives up because they came in contact with a shitload of money. I just simply have no remorse for it. Maybe that's, like, cold and heartless or whatever, but, like, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with, like, childhood actors, like, kids that get, like, super rich, you know, and they have all of a sudden a drinking problem, a this problem, a gambling problem, I do drugs problem. Like, I have no sympathy for that at all.
Reportedly owing the Argentinian tax agency millions. Worse so, Fernando seemed determined to create problems for himself wherever he went. He got into a fight with a police officer in Mar del Plata over a breathalyzer test, and there was even a case open that linked him to drug trafficking. His lack of care in certain aspects of his business was evident. Quickly, sponsors removed their branding from his dealerships due to his mismanagement, but Fernando got into a heated argument with one of the clients after he failed to deliver cars at the promised time, an unfortunate pattern that would lead to an untimely end. Over the years, Fernando registered several companies. However, some had no tax identification number, and others were suspected of existing solely for fraud. While it
Bonehead.
initially seemed like Fernando had moved to America because it offered better opportunities, it's more likely that he ran away to avoid paying the money he owed. Unfortunately for Fernando, the tax agency wasn't the only one he owed money to, and the consequences of his actions would soon catch up with him. In July of 2023, after years of avoiding his home country, Fernando
Bro, this was like last year.
returned to Argentina on a trip that was only supposed to last a few days. His posts had become less flashy and contained cryptic messages, and on the 15th, Fernando wrote his final post, quote, "Hello mum, I needed to clear my head as always, and from here I'm realizing two things, that we can't escape from problems and that problems will follow us. Well, if something happens to me, everyone is warned." Suddenly, there was silence for 8 days. People suspected he had disappeared, but no one knew where. All anyone knew was
that's like this weird thing with the internet. Like, if you see, or if you are attached to like a favorite influencer that posts shit like on the regular, and then all of a sudden they don't, there's this like thing where people are like, oh my god, is he dead? Is he missing? Is he this? Is he that? Blah 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 blah. It's like, bro, probably not. At least that's like my initial thought process of like, oh, somebody didn't post some shit in a while. They're probably just taking a break. But whatever. My knee-jerk thought isn't, oh god, they're dead.
Was that Fernando had failed to return the keys to the apartment he was renting, and that he hadn't answered his phone. He seemed to have disappeared off the face of the planet. But then, on the 23rd, he was found. You see, a couple of children were playing soccer in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, when they noticed a large red suitcase abandoned near the river. Understandably curious, they went over to investigate and discovered something that would traumatize them for the rest of their lives. The dismembered body of Fernando. They ran to tell their parents, who contacted the police, and they managed to identify Fernando by his tattoos and fingerprints. This was confirmed when the authorities found his head floating in a rucksack downstream.
What the fuck?
An autopsy of the body revealed that Fernando had been shot 3 times before his body was dismembered. While the local media reported that this was the work of a professional due to how clean the amputation was, the local authorities believed otherwise. Sergio Berni, the security minister for Buenos Aires, said that Fernando's murder had happened, quote, quickly and almost madly, unlike a professional. The situation was very spectacular. While on the one hand,
bro, that's crazy. Like, what the hell? Was it like gambling debts or some shit? Or like crypto things, like he was like fucking up with his money or whatever, like owed money to like someone, and then he never got the money like paid to that person or some shit. Like, holy shit, dude.
Fernando's death and subsequent dismemberment could have been the result of a robbery and disposal gone wrong. It's far more likely that this was the result of a disgruntled investor. While the authorities have denied the possibility of the murder having been done professionally, this could be due to fear. Fernando owed a bunch of people money, including a local gang who were demanding $40,000, an investor named Adrian Tesi, and a man who was only identified by his surname, Iglesias.
Gaba also owed Iglesias' son $70K that he wanted back, according to the report. Bro, like, how are you gonna kill someone for like $110K? Like, what? What the fuck?
Everyone had motivation. While Tessie had threatened to rip off his head for playing around with his money, after Fernando failed to deliver the money he said he had, Iglesias seems to be the most likely suspect in this tragic story. A week before his murder, Fernando received death threats from Iglesias, who claimed the influencer owed his son $70,000. In several voicemails, he tells him, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna do something worse to you. I'm gonna gouge out your eyes and cut off your hands so that you can't have any more money in your life. I swear."
Jesus, what kind of people are you like socializing with to the point where this is their logical recourse if they don't get their money back? Like, why? would you even associate with these people?
Where are my children that have no problems going to jail? And quote, you betrayed me and you caught me. I have a poison with you that I hate you. Finally, Iglesias told Fernando they should
Bro, for 70K? Like, yeah, 70K is a lot of money, but like, it ain't that much.
each other face to face. A week later, he was dead. Now, I'm not claiming that he did it, and I wouldn't accuse him of doing so, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions. The only person who has been arrested for his murder is a woman linked to some paperwork that was found in the suitcase. But today, the case is still unknown about who actually did this, with the real suspect still at large. Fernando is a tragic lesson of what happens when an influencer has to live a luxurious lifestyle they can't even afford, getting mixed up with the wrong people, all to maintain a broken facade.
Dang.
And some YouTubers in particular
That's
have,
sad.
unlike annoying YouTube pranksters, been tragically caught up in the wrong place for discussing the wrong things. A sassy Spanish 36-year-old YouTuber was killed in a restaurant in
Bro, I am so unfamiliar with like the Spanish side of like the influencers and shit like that.
front of her husband by two armed men. And although she was a love character, it didn't take much for pointed fingers to mark some probable causes of this heartless incident. Leslie Ann started her online magazine called El Sillon in 2012 with her husband, Samuel, in Acapulco, Mexico. It was in this beachside city where Leslie set out to make a name for herself. She would dress up with loud and colorful makeup and a huge wig, and present an online Spanish persona, Nana Pelucas, which means grandma in wigs. She was talented, well-loved, and certainly knew how to draw in her audience. She spoke
Okay, so what? She was like playing like a character or something?
clearly and would chat as if you were sitting right next to her. Her topics would include makeup, fashion, to more controversial topics of politics, and sometimes she would call out any malicious happenings from
Okay, so she did like kind of real stuff, like relative to like, that's relative to her audience, like makeup and whatnot. But then when it came to like real life stuff, she would go into like character mode and put on the grandma in the wig and tell everybody or her true thoughts. But like, I'm a character, it's not real, guys. That's what I'm guessing.
For the most part, it was tolerated. Nothing that would merit her murder to begin with, but Leslie Ann did step on some toes. In public, she would start gaining a lot of attention and would handle it with grace. She would do interviews with officials and she gained a lot of respect with her audience. It wasn't all so serious. She would be seen often joking and laughing with people around her, but behind closed doors, she would stir the pot with the latest gossip on the cartels and politicians. She was known for her mocking tone in delivering the latest news. It seemed like Leslie lost her filter and would speak her mind as though there were no consequences ahead. However, the threats would begin to pour in. Now, for those who don't know, Acapulco, Mexico is one of the most dangerous places in Mexico. It's the heartland of the cartel. Once a tourist hotspot destination, has now been overrun by criminals and
Bro, I ain't going to this fucking city if I ever go to Mexico. Holy shit.
insane murder rates. She was in the heart of the criminal underworld of Mexico. And soon enough, word spread to these people, and they would send her a warning. Now, the way the
But what did she say about the guys?
cartels would deliver their messages left no question of who was on their radar. Leslie's name came up on a few of the threats that they would leave written on a piece of material or blankets out in the open for all to see. This was meant as a warning to back off on whatever upset them, and one to be taken very seriously. There was a website where you could report any movements of gang members, and there were a lot of accusations thrown around on that site. The gang suspected that Leslie was one of the administrators of the website, which they wanted taken down for obvious reasons. It turned out they were correct, that she was an anonymous administrator, but she wasn't the only one. The threats were aimed at all the administrators in hopes that it would be enough to instill fear to shut this site down. Leslie would even be threatened by government employees who were linked to gangs. There was no mistaking it. Leslie...
Oh, damn. So the gangs had their gang thing, and then they also had like members embedded in like the government, and she was like an anonymous, well, I don't know how anonymous, like, I don't know, a contributor or person of the website that called out when gang people like did some dumb shit, and the gang officials, the gang government officials got hold of her information, and they were just like telling her all that dumb shit. Jesus.
Leslie knew she was on thin ice, with the overflow of threats in every direction. However, Leslie didn't let their warnings faze her. It was business as usual. If she wasn't offending the cartels, she was offending the politicians. In one post, Leslie says, quote, "The snotface didn't even have enough support for re-election." And
okay, let's start straight with the gossip, said a smiling Nana Pelucas. As I click play, we'll begin with the dumbass. I mean, with my favorite kid, Chutito Cara de Moco, said the vlogger, referring to Acapulco's then mayor, Jesus Ivado Jesus, okay, as a snot face in character. Montenegro del Real criticized the mayor's annual public address, pointing to the list of unfinished public works projects that he had promised. This snot face didn't even have enough support for re-election, and now he thinks he'll become a senator. She added, breaking out in raucous laughter. This doesn't seem that bad to me. She just seems like a political commentator whenever she puts the wig on, essentially. Huh. And apparently, like, the local gang didn't like it, so she's like, the gang was like, you better stop, and then she didn't stop, and then, oh boy, I don't even know what's gonna happen.
And now he thinks he'll become a senator, followed by her mocking laugh. Of course, this didn't sit well with the politician, so Leslie stacked up another enemy in her trail of unfiltered comments. On February 5th, 2018, Leslie and her husband were at a restaurant enjoying the evening when suddenly 2 armed men walked straight up to Leslie and shot her several times in the head and chest.
Jesus.
There was no question that the act was deliberate and intentional, as Leslie was their only target, and the 2 men suddenly disappeared, fleeing from the scene. Now, why did this happen on this specific day, under such awful circumstances? Well, it was rumored that Leslie had recently gotten access to some very damaging information about the cartels, and that in order to stop that information from getting out, she was murdered before she had the chance. However, there isn't too much evidence to support this rumor, and if her husband knows, he's definitely not telling, and who could blame him? He witnessed firsthand what might happen to him if he did.
Yeah.
And the sad fact is
that's crazy, man. I'd be fucking scared shitless.
this is a regular occurrence in many parts of Mexico, with the country being known as the most dangerous place for journalists. In 2018, as many as 10 confirmed journalists had been murdered, according to reporters.
Organized crime killed 10 journalists in Latin America in 2018, according to RSF.
Without Borders, and over 100 since December 2018, if not more.
Over 100 journalists and activists killed. Bro, what is going on in Mexico? What the fuck?
And Acapulco itself is the second most violent city in the world. Not the best place for a damsel to be throwing mud. However, it did shine a light on how truly bad the situation is in Mexico, where just calling out criminals will have you left in the dirt with no repercussions and the government looking the other way because of the corruption within the country. As a result, many of these kinds of murders are left unresolved. There's no
violent crimes rise in Mexico, 94.8% go unpunished. That's crazy, man. Holy shit. Thank God I didn't spawn in fucking Mexico.
one is brave enough to,
or at least that city of it.
The brutality of the cartels if it's cartel related, and even if officials do make an arrest, it's never the head of the snake. The criminal case is still open, and her family will probably never receive the justice that they deserve. But had she heeded those warnings and stayed away from such dangerous topics, she may have escaped such a horrible demise.
Yeah,
but not all content
that
creators
sucks.
are this brave. It's one thing to be famous, but to flaunt it for the wrong reasons and make threats to other YouTubers shows a
I know this guy.
lack of wisdom and character.
Aiden, you are a fucking liar. Lie to your Aiden, lie to your audience again.
This YouTuber openly made some threats to another YouTuber, and in the end, his bark was worse than his bite. In fact, he was made a fool of in public, and rightfully so. You don't just go around throwing mud and expect not to get dirty, right? You see, Zurka started off in January 2019 as just a chatting profile on Twitch, but it seems that Zurka doesn't know what boundaries are, and has no problem crossing them.
Number two, the fucking pirate guy, I know him in real life. He doesn't have a job. He lives under a fucking bridge. I know him.
The first time he got banned was in June 2019, when he showed violent content of other banned streamers, which obviously goes against Twitch policies. The second time Zurka was banned, it was for a photo of a girl in a bikini on stream for a period. That ban lasted 1 month, and as per Zurka, he just thought it would be harmless and hoped to blow up women who pose in a sexual manner in pools. But basically just doing
when I first saw John Zurka, I initially thought that he was playing like a character the entire time. It's like, but he was like pretty convincing with like all of his like thoughts and like ideas and whatnot. Like it sounded good, but by the time I found him, I was like maybe like, I don't know, like 29, 30 or something like that. So I was already like wise enough to like realize, oh, this guy's playing a character. Okay. But the amount of like back end work that he put into like the character and like the character's beliefs of all that shit is actually crazy. But I mean, I don't know if he actually is like that or whatever, but I mean, I don't know. There's probably like some degree of like overlap or whatnot, but like,
doing anything to stir up some traffic and attention. And it worked. Besides another 2-week ban that seems to be about Zurka's derogatory decorum on the platform, he was eventually banned indefinitely after clips surfaced of John with underage girls with some not so savory manners. However,
Ooh, the underage girls part. Oof. That's a big oof right there, buddy. Zurka claims that 3-day kick ban is due to hate speech and using the N-word amid allegations of flirting with teens. Oh yeah. You can't be doing that, man.
But John claims it was because of hate speech and using the N-word. Regardless, he was kicked off Twitch, but he didn't really seem fazed. As he'd already built up this loyal audience, through all this crazy stuff he was doing on Twitch, he was able to easily move on to YouTube and Kick. And sadly, because he gained attention from doing this in the first place, his demeanor only got worse. He became more and more crazy, more arrogant, and a menacing figure that gained a bunch of attention with a skyrocketing number of followers.
Do it on a lie detector test, clown white woman. Do it on a lie detector.
No one online was like him, saying the most crazy things from politics.
Yeah, he says the most crazy shit, dude. And he will just keep going. Like, he doesn't just say a thing. He will come up with, like, reasons that, like, support him. I don't know. Like, it's hilarious to, like, listen to him.
Religion.
Essentially, he is... like, for me, he is, like, he just entertains. I don't take any real-life advice from him.
Sometimes just open racism.
Everyone was saying the N-word a couple of years ago. It changed.
Originally, John was a Muslim who converted to Christianity. However, it's hard to know whether any of this stuff is actually true. He claims to be, quote, the last masculine Christian.
There's no masculine Christians. Why do you think I'm leading the charge?
Or were acting out beliefs contrary to Christian standards. For example, his own website advertises how to get women into bed. He's also apparently a flat earth believer.
NASA's the reason I became a flat earther, because this
a promoter of drug use and toxic manners and being masculine. All of this stuff is basically to say that he will do anything and say anything that's so crazy that he'll get views and virality. He was blowing up on all these platforms, especially Twitter, because of this, but soon he'd find another way to gain even more fame. He didn't need to just say outrageous stuff. If he said outrageous stuff about certain celebrities, especially within the online space, he could then use other people's fame and infamy to gain even more success. And so it didn't take long for him in interviews to
he was like leech mode, essentially.
openly insult people like Andrew Tate, calling him a bald midget. He did this a bunch to almost every influencer you can think of, but in November of 2023, Zurka decided to stir the pot once again with another degenerate called HS Tiki Toki by calling his mother a bitch.
Tiki Toki, your mother's a fucking whore!
This just blew up with the social media influencer community, but Zurka didn't stop there. He went on to say he had Pammy Baby, who was Aiden Ross's ex.
Trying to embarrass me? Pammy! I literally Pammy!
It was getting so crazy, with Zurka's drug use getting out of hand.
Damn.
And people decided to finally take action against him. After he
Like, there's... bro, I do not want to ever, like, meet any of these people. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I know this guy, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know this guy, don't know that guy. I don't want to meet any of these people in real life, dude.
He said the following quote.
Where's your boy? He challenged me. He said Zurka's a pussy. Zurka's Tiki Toki's mother. Come save your mother. Hey, Tiki Toki, Aiden Ross! J2 gang, where the you guys at?
All of this crazy stuff just added more fuel to the fire, and his manic state was getting worse. He was so far deep, he just decided to jump all in, going so far as to claim he would take on HS Tiki Toki if he found him on the streets, and that's exactly what happened. It didn't take long for Zurka to find HS Tiki Toki in Miami, and the two would quickly get into a physical altercation, which was—
oh, there it goes, with the hands on hands. Yep.
to say the least, an absolute embarrassment to Zurka, and hilarious to everyone online. The fight went completely viral, with flowing comments not in Zurka's favor, but
What? Bro, I just tried to scroll up like this was actually fucking Twitter. Bro, this is like 200-300 fucking likes. Like, what is this? This is like nothing.
actually just making this guy HS Tiki Toki seem to be the man of the fight, a fight that only lasted 2 minutes. It was hilarious. HS Tiki Toki's all dressed up in a restaurant, and Zurka's prepared in his training gear and still gets completely wiped to the floor by HS Tiki Toki. And if anything, almost everyone online found this quite satisfying, a loudmouth getting silenced on the street, showing you can't just go after someone's family. And to be fair, HS Tiki Toki—
oh, again, my knee-jerk reaction to all of this is that it's all fake, it's all scripted. It's not real. You know, they before they hit go live, they're like talking about what they're gonna do, what's gonna happen, and like, okay, and all that shit. It's like, it's just, I can't help but think that it's just scripted. The only instance where I don't think it was scripted was the first instance of that dude getting like shot, because that is way more realistic than like this dumb shit of like, you know, pushing and shoving. This is all like show.
He was completely antagonized by Zurka, who was disgracefully disrespectful. Eventually someone was going to put him in his place. While some say it would have been better for HS Tiki-Toki to walk away, it wouldn't have had the same impact of the lessons so well delivered to Zurka, and nowadays no one ever hears of this guy anymore. After he got wiped to the floor, everyone just sees him for what he is.
Oh,
in
damn.
an interview later, HS Tiki-Toki confirmed the reason behind the fight, saying he would never be friends with someone disrespecting his mother, and that was the reason for the fight.
Oh,
I
damn.
would never be friends with someone that calls my mum a whore, in a joking way or not.
Now, Zurka does still make content, and recently he just picked on a fellow lady influencer,
Damn.
Sarah Safari, accusing her of clout chasing and telling her to stop being the town bicycle. This just goes to say that if you say the most degenerate things online, you can gain fame and money, but
Yeah.
eventually you may face the consequences. You can't keep stirring the hornet's nest without being stung. It's just a matter of time.
And again, I'm just gonna reiterate this. If I was a little kid, I would 100% be watching this. 100%, dude. That shit, I wouldn't be able to tell what's real life and what's fake with all of these guys.
As was the case for the final guy on this list. A YouTuber known as
Oh, Boogie.
Boogie2988 started this channel on April 5th, 2006, and mostly spoke about gaming and Dungeons and
I remember Boogie and his like alter ego character Francis, like the angry gamer. I watched a ton of Boogie's videos.
Dragons. Almost instantly, he became a viral sensation on the internet. Even today, everybody knows about him, and his online character called Francis.
Yeah.
As his online character, he said a bunch of unfiltered stuff, and ultimately, this would lead to his demise and financial ruin. Why? Because eventually, everything you say catches up with you, especially online.
One for me and one for the hooker. One for me and one for my hooker.
He would constantly vlog his life, make jokes, jump into swimming pools as this obese man, and ramble on in his videos. And by doing this, he was able to make a fortune. But eventually, he would start saying things that would offend the wrong people. He was known to use the N-word on more than one occasion.
And I know that I could still be and be white.
And as time went by,
Oh, damn. Ugh.
more and more of his viewers,
Bro, like, I just don't even say the N word because, like, I don't know. I just never think about saying it, so I don't have to worry about not saying it because I'm just like, I don't know. I think there's other things that you can call people. Well, I don't know. Not really. Maybe that's like the epitome of like an insult or whatever, but like, I don't know. I think it's depending on like what type of person you are, it's like, I would say like insulting intelligence or actions can hurt, but there's just like so much history behind like the N-word, so it's like I don't even say it or whatever.
would find the flaws in his character to be unacceptable, especially when it came out that he was verbally and emotionally abusive to his wife.
My anxiety was so bad that she was kind of walking on eggshells all the time because she was afraid of scaring me, upsetting me, hurting me.
During a podcast, Boogie2988 made a statement that there was a lot of medical good that came out of the Holocaust.
If you think about it, a lot of some good came from all of that.
He later retracted the statement, but it was too late. Hiding behind dark humor, he made fun of his dead ex-girlfriend and claimed that the dark humor was shared, and that his ex-girlfriend would have appreciated the sentiment.
And yeah, so f her. And now she's dead.
Oh, is this like a Scuff? What Scuff podcast is this? This is some early ass Scuff podcast. Is this like, damn, is this like the first 7 episodes, I think, with like where it was like Greek God was like, it was his, and then like after the 7, that he gave it to like Train, and then Train took it and hung on to it, and I think he still does it or whatever. But yeah, dang, this is old, dude.
And actually, both of them are. The girl is dead. My mom is dead. Everyone I know and love is dead. Wait, the girl died? Whoa.
It was really distasteful. Christopher Tom, another YouTuber, exposed Boogie2988 in 2019. He put out a 54-minute-long video explaining why Boogie was losing subscribers fast. And the video showed that Boogie really wasn't a great person, saying things like he wants to suck Mickey Mouse's big dick, which is just so dumb and vulgar.
Please give Daddy your money, or else I'll never be able to suck Mickey Mouse off. I want to suck Mickey Mouse's big dick.
Boogie did a bunch of unsavory stuff, and it went on for years. And this video—
What is that, a fucking lighter?
Mouse's big dick.
Boogie did a bunch of unsavory stuff, and it went on
Oh, that's a USB. But wait, it's a gun, but a USB?
for years. And this video would go on way too long to mention all the bad stuff he's ever done in his life.
Yeah.
But eventually, as his audience starts...
Yeah, there's like a whole other video where it's like they track the downfall of Boogie, and it's like over like an hour or about an hour long. Like, I think I saw, yeah.
Leaving and the money started sucking up, he would then regularly speak about his mental health, playing the sympathy card. He'd say things about how he can't wait to die as long as he can eat and be happy. But when a concerned fan, Alan, who seemed to really care, responded publicly that friends and family of Boogie should encourage him to get help.
So my plea to the family and friends of Boogie 2988, somebody get a hold of him and talk to him about getting some inpatient therapy.
He would retaliate by saying Alan wasn't genuine, and if he was, he would have contacted him himself. And then he would move on to the next health issue.
Number 2, my primary focus is not on my body right now.
Oh, he's looking like thinner. This is like what, like pre or a little bit pre or maybe post like the gastric bypass thing where like they make your stomach smaller and like you gotta lose weight or whatever. Yeah, he's looking like way thinner.
Primary focus is on my brain.
Constantly begging his audience for money just so that he could survive, even though he'd made hundreds of thousands of dollars years before. And by 2020, almost all of his audience had gone. His views had plummeted, and another YouTuber, Frank Hassel's account was terminated for publicly harassing people and blamed Boogie in a Twitter comment.
I get banned from YouTube. You know, it was inevitable, I guess.
Damn.
When you thoroughly dominate someone, they want to enact revenge somehow.
Now, Boogie was in desperate measures by this point. His mental...
I wonder if we're going to talk about the time where like Boogie whipped out a gun on someone.
When physical health was declining, his money shriveling up, and the stress was getting to him. So Boogie didn't take this well, and Frank and Boogie got into a bit of a back and forth verbal brawl, but it seemed to only escalate when Boogie threatened to kill Frank.
I made it very clear.
Oh, damn.
I'm in a body bag.
So Frank...
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the gun part. Oh, my God. Yeah, like the whole threatening thing, it's like, stop threatening people, dude.
Actually found Boogie's house and went out looking for him, going right up to his house. And Boogie was...
Yeah, this guy had no right to like go up to this dude's house and like knock on his door. And like, you're coming onto his property, you're knocking on his door, and you know he doesn't like you. So you're just asking for a bad time, dude.
Standing right outside his front door with a gun, telling Frank to leave. And by this point, this whole Twitter brawl had gotten way out of hand, and Frank wasn't budging or leaving. Now, Frank's demeanor was insulting, antagonistic, and all the while clearly mocking Boogie. So Boogie...
Yeah, like, you're just fucking poking the bear, dude. You're such a bonehead. You're so stupid. Like, why are you doing this? To, like, show, like, some sort of superiority thing? The dude's got a gun, man.
He spoke back behind closed doors, letting Frank know he would be coming out with a gun, and when Frank became almost mockingly frenzied after Boogie opened the door and dared him to shoot, Boogie did...
Oh yeah, you shot... like, the thing that Boogie fucked up on was he shot in the air, and I think that was what did him in. Either, like, I don't remember if he did, like, jail time or paid, like, a fee. I mean, I don't know if he could pay. He don't got no money. But he should have just, like, shot it into the ground to show that, like, he's, like, ready.
Did actually fire a warning shot. Perhaps it was because Frank realized Boogie meant business and the gun was real, that he did actually leave.
I'm asking you to leave. I'm asking you to leave, man. Please don't make me do this.
Boogie wouldn't take this whole instance lightly. He made a video about Frank stalking him and said that Frank had driven a few states over to deliver on his threats. He had let Boogie know
That's crazy, if that's actually true. Like, you drove multiple states to, like, go to harass someone? Didn't that fucking, like, Sniper Wolf chick do that same thing to, Jack's films or whatever? Like, bro, like, she just like, but she didn't purposely travel to like Jack's house. She was like doing something, and then her followers told her, like, she was like, hey, I'm here, and then her followers like, hey, Jack's films is like right around the corner, and she's like, oh shit, I'm right out here, and she like snapped a photo of it, of his address, and like just put it all out on Instagram or whatever. And I don't know if she actually like went up and like knocked on the door or whatever, but like the fucking doxing thing is like, bro, people are just so dumb.
There by taking photos and tagging Boogie online so that Boogie could see that Frank was actually there.
Unfortunately, on Saturday, this gentleman decided to drive over a few states to show up in Northwest Arkansas and start taking photos in the area to prove that he was here and calling me names on Twitter and tagging me in it.
It was a line crossed, and of all the things that Boogie...
Bro, people are so fucking crazy. You are not gonna convince me, like, people are not this stupid.
he's ever done in his life, this would end up being the thing to take him down, as an arrest warrant was placed for Boogie on May 11th, 2021, where he would decide to turn himself in on May 12th, 2021, and pay $5,000. He said he'd been coping with this whole situation with therapy and medicines, although it seemed like Boogie got the short end of the stick for defending himself. No one was actually hurt, and one could easily count their blessings that it was a short-lived incident. But after this, he would lose even more followers, and so in an attempt to redeem himself, he made a documentary.
Yeah, I saw this documentary. This was crazy.
Called The Dark Sad Life of Boogie 298, produced by Mike Klum. And although the documentary was very well done, it just showed how depressing Boogie's life has become.
I am disabled, recognized by the state of Arkansas, but also the United States government. The downside to that is I am extremely depressed, so there's some mental health issues that we bring to the table. Physically, I am morbidly obese. I have no references, no work history, and no education.
And it seems like these incidences of running into the wrong people like Frank is just going to continue on in his life if he doesn't sort out the major problems holding back his YouTube career.
Damn. Oh, that was it?
More and more
that was crazy, dude.
History and no education.
And it seems like these incidences of running into the wrong people like Frank is just going to continue on in his life if he doesn't sort out the major problems holding back his YouTube career.
I thought the video like just ended abruptly. Okay. Yeah, man, good video. Like, bro, like YouTubers when they're fucking around with like criminals and shit, like this dude, the idiot, who is this guy fucking around with like gambling and shit? I mean, I don't know. Who am I to say that like I am such a saint, to be honest? Like, would I make the right decision given if I was in this, or would I make the right decision in this situation if it was me? I mean, I don't know. I would like to think I would, but like, fuck, man, who knows? Like, and then this lady with like the gang just fucking killing her and whatnot, and then Zurka, dork, Boogie like shooting the gun and all that shit. Like, damn, dude. Ugh. Overall, good video. I liked it, and I like how you didn't include like Doherty in there at all. Like, I don't know, man. But yeah, that was a great video. I liked it a lot, man. 100%. I can't wait to see more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.